Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, music, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture.
Hi, and thank you so much for joining us on another edition of The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Garrett Modkins. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we are so excited to bring to The Culture Peter Thomas, Bar One, Miami Beach. Welcome, Peter.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We're so excited to get you on finally, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of Miamians. We're glad that you're back in Miami.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, when I say back to Miami, your footprint goes all the way back some at least 30 years, right?
Like 32, 33 years.
Let's talk about how you started and what got you all excited about Miami back in the 80s.
I came to Miami back in 1984 because I was working for the Department of Social Service in New York, and I know that I didn't want to do that. I was 23 years old at the time, and all my coworkers was in their 40s and 50s, and I just couldn't see myself sitting at that desk for 20, 30 years being a social worker. So I took a flight to Miami just to go somewhere tropical. Got down here and I bought the Miami Herald at the airport, and Wendy's was looking for managers, and I went over to Biscayne Boulevard to their headquarters and I filled out the application. I got the job. So I was a Wendy's manager back in 1984. You know what I'm saying? My supervisor, Tommy Law. Tommy just retired, by the way, from Wendy's for like 100 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how I got. That's how I got here in Miami. I worked at Wendy's at 163rd and Collins for like probably around 8 months, and it was brutal. I learned a lot. I used to see little white kids drive up at the drive-through, driving Ferraris and Corvettes, and I'm like, damn, I'm doing the wrong job.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had to go home and got down with my dad at a construction site in New York City for a couple of years, save up my money, hit the streets, and then I'm back.
And you come back, and then what do you get your hands into?
When I came back in late 1985, I opened a shoe store in Coconut Grove called Shelley's in the Grove, because I love shoes, and I used to have to go to Bal Harbour to get nice shoes, Italian shoes. So I decided, you know what? I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm like 25 years old at the time. And I'm like, look, maybe I could open a shoe store, because I know I didn't want to be in New York doing all the stuff I was doing. So I went back to New York, went to Testoni, which was one of my favorite shoe designer on Fifth Avenue. I had a relationship with the managers, and they hooked me up with the people in Bologna, Italy. Okay, and I actually took a trip to Bologna, Italy, sat down with the owner in the factory and tell them what I wanted to do. And, they thought I was brave as hell, so they gave me the rights to South Florida. So I started selling shoe store in Coconut Grove, Sandro Mascaloni, Lorenzo Bonfi, Antonio Testoni, and the Colombians was buying it up in the mid-'80s. I couldn't stock fast enough. They was buying so many shoes from me, okay? But that was my love. You know what I'm saying? I used to go to this club back in Kendall called Hungry Whale back in the days with DJ Waggy T and all of them. And I fell in love with it. And then I started going to this club called Manhattan's. There were two Jewish kids from the University of Miami that owned it, a company called SKS Entertainment. And, they weren't doing well at all, and they were getting ready to graduate. And then I talked them into selling me the club for, back then, it's a lot of money, like $160,000. I gave them $50,000. I held off with giving them the rest of the money because I knew I could afford it, but I wanted to pay for itself. And I started promoting nights at South Miami High. I used to do a team night on on Thursday nights, okay? And it blew up. And I'll pay off the club in like 3 months, and I own Club Manhattan's.
Yeah, and it blew up so much that my friends and I would get fake IDs to come in.
What's up?
Yes, and we had a nice time.
Yeah, college night, Medusa DJs on Saturday night. Skin to Win on Sunday night, Luther Campbell, MC Clay D. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of Convertible Burt used to come every Sunday.
Yes.
Mike Tyson used to fly down to come and hang out with me on Sunday night. Manhattan's was the shit back in the day.
Yes, it was.
Yes. And then in '88, I wanted to expand because I get bored real fast. So in '88, I went to Jerry Russian at EDR, and I tell him that I wanted to open a club on Miami Beach. And they said, Peter, you don't know the history of Miami Beach? I said, no. He said, well, from 1915 to 1973, they didn't allow blacks over there. So what do you mean? Because I'm from Brooklyn. And they said, no, you couldn't go to Miami Beach. You couldn't go over there to swim in the water. You couldn't stay in a hotel room over there. You couldn't do none of that. I said, Jerry, it's 1988. Okay, I'm going to open a club in Miami Beach. He said, well, what I'm trying to tell you is that the reason why it might not work for you is because, these people that used to work over there, they're still here. Their kids, they tell their kids not to go to the beach because they don't like you over there. And I said, well, Jerry, there's a whole lot of transplant down there, and I think it's going to work. So I went and signed a lease at 5th and Lenox for 5th Street, Club 5th Street. And first night we opened, I went and got Waggy and all my DJs from Club Manhattan's. And the first night we opened, the line was around the corner. It was crazy. It was a hit. Sunday night. Well, Sunday night back then, we used to do like 60,000 on a Sunday night back in '88. And, me, I was naive. To me, I didn't really see the racism on the same level that people that grew up here saw it. Because, I didn't grow up in that environment. And around 6 months later, there's an Italian club that opened, the Gold Room, that opened across the street from us. And they couldn't do what they wanted to do as a strip club because they didn't know Miami Beach wasn't going to allow it. And they had to give up their property. They leased their property to Luke. And Luther Campbell, we was going head to head from Manhattan to Strawberries. We used to clash all the time because we were the two hottest black club in Miami. And now Luke came over and be right across the street from me. So now it's 5th Street and Luke. We're still going at it, but we were cool. You know what I'm saying? But Miami Beach hated it for the fact that as soon as you cross the bridge, the first light when you got off the bridge is Alton Road. The second light is Lenox. So as soon as you come to the second light, all you see on both sides of the street, number of black people. They're like the gateway. That's not what they wanted. You know what I'm saying? So they was trying to code enforcement and City of Miami Beach Police Department and commissioners. They were all trying to figure out how to get rid of us. You know what I'm saying? But they couldn't. We were there for like years. We changed the culture from house music. The model agencies used to come down here and shoot a lot. Winter music. I changed it from Winter Music Conference with Jerry Kelly and those guys, Bill Kelly and them.
Oh yeah, Jerry Kelly. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Exactly. It was a gateway for me to talk to Russell Simmons and Leo Cohen in New York and said, hey, look, I want to do a hip hop conference down in Miami. And got with the Source magazine with Dave Mays and Benzino, and then got with Len Burnett and Keith Clinsdale over at Vibe magazine.
Oh, Keith.
At the time, and talk to them and giving me free ad page because I'm gonna bring the neighborhood to South Beach and let them discover how beautiful this Riviera is. And everybody signed on.
Peter, you're probably the reason why when people think of Miami, all they think of is South Beach.
Yeah, exactly. There was no blacks coming over here in the early 80s.
They just going to South Beach.
Yeah, you'd be on Miami Beach for like 5 days and you'll feel like you're in Buenos Aires, Argentina, because you probably would only run into like 4 or 5 brothers in a whole week.
Right.
Back in 85, 86, coming down on South Beach. Matter of fact, the first nightclub I looked at was at 1437 Washington Avenue, and it used to be like a McCory's, which is like compatible to Woolworths. Mm-hmm. And when I went upstairs to check the piping and the electrical and the mechanical, make sure that it was a sound investment, I freaked out. My whole body just freaked out because the sign upstairs says, no Jews, no blacks, no dogs. And I froze. Me and my brother froze, and we was looking at it and like, what the? You know what I'm saying? We never seen that like that. We see racism in Brooklyn because you try to move into the white neighborhood when you came up, they're not gonna rent you the apartment. They're gonna tell you it's taken. and then 2 months later, it's still in the ad page. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of racism I was used to. I didn't blatantly see anything like that because I never lived in the South. You know, and I didn't want nothing to do with it. And I went and did the Fifth Street deal. But years later, I came back there and I did the Barcode deal back in 2000 in the same building.
Wait, don't jump over your conference. Don't jump over your conference.
Well, the conference was something, idea that I had after, you know, talking to Luke, after seeing what bass music was doing in Miami, because Miami was doing bass music, but I came from Brooklyn, I was doing hip hop music. And hip hop and bass is part of the culture, the hip hop culture. And I wanted to, you know, I used to bring down De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest and the Jungle Brothers when I had Club Manhattans, and all the kids from the northeast of the country used to just flock to club. They couldn't get enough of it, you know. So that gave me the idea to do the conference. And when I talked to Leo and Russell, they gave me office space to do it, you know, because I was already working for them in London as the general manager for Rush Management. You know, I was doing all of that while I had Fifth Street and Manhattan's at the same time. I was living in London, bringing all the groups over there for Russell and Leo and them. So in 93, when they were moving into 92, when they were moving into their new office space, they gave me an office to do the conference. And the first one I did was at the Omni Hotel downtown, Columbus Day weekend, 1992. A birthday party for Ed Lover and Dr. Dre from Yo MTV Raps with Freddie, right? And Juice had just came out, so we had Omar Epps, Khalil Kane, Tupac Shakur, Biggie Smalls was there. Puff came down for the first time because he had that accident with all him and Heavy D, where all those people got trampled at CCNY in New York. So it was around the same time. So Andre Rell is like, yo, Peter, I got to get them out of the city. The press is going crazy. So I said, let them come down to the conference that I'm building. And it was the first time, was 1992 at the Omni Hotel. It was such a success that in 93, we returned to the Omni Hotel and we had 1,200 people actually pay register to come to the conference. You know, by 96, Miami Beach asked me never to do it again because they had over 100,000 black men on South Beach. Okay, and the police force only had 180 police officers on duty at any given time. So they didn't know it was going to be like that because I didn't really communicate with them. Every time I try to talk to them about doing a conference, they look at me like, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I said, you can't tell me that you're not doing that. I'm going to do it anyway. So I went to the Shelbourne Hotel, got a contract from the Shelbourne Hotel, and I made that my base. And it grew like crazy, okay, where they had National Guard. They was telling me, the mayor and the police chief had me on the phone threatening me. They gave me a fine for $88,000 in 1996, okay, for code enforcement, because they said that I'm a conference owner and all the stickers, all the guerrilla warfare, you know, like that these kids were doing to make themselves known back then, they blame me for it. So I had to pay $88,000. I think it's probably the highest code enforcement fine ever in the history of Miami Beach. 88 grand I had to get a cashier to pay them, you know. And at the same year, I was opening Savannah restaurant.
Yes, I remember Savannah. Okay?
So we was on fire. We was on fire. You couldn't tell Peter Thomas nothing. But it was fun. It was fun. Savannah, we opened with Erykah Badu.
That's hot.
Nobody knew who Erykah was. She did an unplug for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I was dating Nia Long at the time. So, yeah, surely you can tell me shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because my girlfriend was the hottest actress in the country. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So Savannah was beautiful, though. I mean, it was featuring architectural design magazine. It came second place for the James Beard Award. Oprah Stedman and Gail and Calvin Klein and Don Cornelius and so many celebrities come to Savannah, you know, the short time I had it, you know, and it was so much for me because it was the first time I'm really doing a restaurant. I did clubs before that, you know, and the China Grill was across the street from me, and those guys used to see all the celebrities coming all the time, and China Grill was king of South Beach at the time. Mm-hmm. And the guy, David, who owned it, wrote a check. he wrote a check to purchase a restaurant from me. And I just got offered to go to LA to head up the Source Entertainment. So yeah, again, I get bored. So I'm like, yeah, I'm out of Miami. I can't take all of this, and I left and I went to LA and I sold a restaurant, and, did the Source Awards, executive producer Source Awards, 99 and 2000. 2000, I came back to Miami Beach and I started promoting Crave nightclub. Then I owned Static nightclub. I did Zeno for Benzino.
Yeah.
Until 2004. 2004, after Katrina, the landlord said, yo, Peter, I have somebody that want to buy Zeno and Barcode. Are you interested in to get out of the lease? Because and I'm looking around, Miami Beach was on a, pre-construction. It looked like everything was getting ready to change. And it looked like I was going to take a hit. I said, hell yeah. He said, I'll give you $150,000 to get out of your lease. I said, write the check, I'm gone. And I left again. On the way, I went to live in Toronto for 6 months, where I did How Can I Be Down? Then I moved to Atlanta because my dad got sick, and I did How Can I Be Down in Atlanta? And then I opened Uptown Cabaret in Atlanta. In 2009, after Barack won, first black president in the history of America, the Republicans in Atlanta hated that. There was no gas. There was a gas shortage in Atlanta. The recession was, the big bailout was going on, and people wasn't going out. People were scared. You know what I'm saying? So I lost that club after 2 years, and I just signed on to be on the Atlanta Housewife. And me and my ex-wife had a great year being together from January 2008 to 2009, when everything was failing and the bailout was in full effect. Tell about the shaking. When the bailout was in full effect, so the housewife caught us at the right time when I was broke. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know no other way but to be real about it on TV. You know what I'm saying? Because I figured that's what people wanted to see, real struggles. And my ex-wife at the time, she didn't know how to deal with that. So we start drifting, and to be honest with you, my marriage was over when I got married. You know what I'm saying? When I look back at it, because we got married on Bravo and 20,000 people tune in a week to watch our wedding, and her mom and her sister hiding the marriage certificate, and I didn't find out until 6 months later when I'm actually watching the show. I'm like, oh shit, that happened. You know what I'm saying? So we were at odds completely, just apart. But we already exposed to this program, so I had to tough it out. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't make her look bad because I was still in love with her, so I didn't want to go out there and start dating other people, even though we were separated, but we were pretending that we weren't.
Right.
And because I knew that would be devastating to her, and she's actually a nice person. We just wasn't on the same page. So I did the show for 5 years, trying to teach her how to do the show. Where they called me the seventh housewife, and I'm mixing it up with Nene Leakes and Phaedra and Portia and all of them. You know what I'm saying? They weren't paying me. They don't. That franchise is so clever. They only pay the woman. They never pay the man. So if you and your spouse is not on the same page, okay, she's going to get the money. You never know she's going to get the money, even though I negotiate the contract the whole 9 yards. So it was horrible. It was probably the worst time of my life. Being in that marriage situation and being exposed to Bravo. But you know what I'm saying? I turned that sour lemon into lemonade by saying,
right.
If I'm going to be on this, I'm going to make sure that y'all remember me. I'm not going to be on a fly on the wall like Greg.
Right.
I want to be Greg. Me and Apollo got together and said, yo, Apollo, I know we don't like each other, light skin versus dark skin, but check this out. This is business, brother. Okay? I know the wife ain't giving us this money, so this is business. So let's get together and make this work. All right? And then Apollo said, you know what I'm saying? Let's just go and blast it. So the producers was loving this. They never had any male participation before. It was all about just these girls. And yeah, I start, if you're going to mic me up and put me in a situation with a room, don't expect me to be a dummy because I have an opinion. So when I start having an opinion, the girls start hating it because, you know, like they weren't as quick. I'm a street dude, so they weren't as quick as I was. I was like on it like this. Nene couldn't stand it because she was a star, and now it's called Atlanta Housewife, and now you have this Negro on it that's taking over the stardom from her. You know, she couldn't stand it. Mm-hmm. We were butting heads back to back. So because I knew she couldn't stand it, I kept on going at her. Because the more I go at her, the bigger my name gets.
Right.
And yeah, so when I opened Bar One on Memorial Drive in Atlanta, there was a smash because people was coming out to see me. They never seen a black man act like that on TV before on some positive shit. Right. And, you know, like talking about being strong and black, and this is when nobody wants to hire me because the way I love, you know what I'm saying? Even though I have a college education, okay, I have to get up and grind every day. And my wife didn't understand that because, you know, she was a pretty Alabama girl that top 3 black model in the country for 20 years. Work with nothing but white people, so she didn't see what I had to deal with every day, and I wanted the world to see that conflict, you know, and I showed it to them. Yeah. You know, and after 9 seasons of being on that show, I moved, you know, and couldn't live in the same household with her anymore because there was no privacy. I mean, every day I get up, the glam crew's there, the gay crew's there, the femme crews get there. You know, I'm not prejudiced at all. You know what I'm saying? To each his own, but it was too much. It was no privacy. So I said, you know, I started looking around and I went up to Charlotte and I opened Sports One. You know, and I felt free when I was in Charlotte because I wasn't 4 hours away, but it's a completely different situation in North Carolina. And I didn't feel the pressure of being compounded all the time by the crew, and every morning I get up, there's 20 people in the house because you have to get ready for scenes, you know, and then I have to get ready for scene, and my mindset had to be right. If not, I'm gonna come across ignorant and people are gonna hate me, and then nobody's going to want to support my brand that I was building. So I had to like put on my big boy drawers and, you know what I'm saying, just suck it up. But every time I go to Charlotte, I was so free. You know what I'm saying? I did not want to go home. And we just sat down one day and said, hey, this is not working. It's over. I'm going to be in Charlotte. I'm not coming back. No, we can't let the production know for another year until we figure it out. And we came up with rules that we wouldn't talk about our personal business and put it out there in public like we have seen Cordell and Portia did. We have seen Nene and Greg did. You know what I'm saying? We had so many bad examples of what not to do. We didn't want to do that to each other. And we actually like each other. We were in love with each other. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was cool. We part. And by the time the crew caught on, I have them turn around and pay me when they said they would never pay a man to do the show. I have them pay me to do that season to get that divorce on tape, since we were already separated. And we negotiated, and they gave me a gang of money to do it, okay? And I have Andy Cohen to bring the guys on because they never brought the guys on the show before. Okay, I even have them to do an episode with just the guys. So I kind of changed it how they view men on the whole Housewife franchise, you know? And then, you know, like I broke out. I went up there. I have them to come to Charlotte to shoot Sports One. I have them come to Charlotte to shoot Club One. It went all good. You know what I'm saying? And after I was in Charlotte for like 5 years, I said, I want to go home. And home to me is Miami. You know what I'm saying? And when I got back down here, because my oldest son and my youngest son live here, when I got back down here and see that there were no upscale restaurants since I did Savannah restaurant, there was one with Chef Amaris. She had a restaurant in the Design District. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a hit. And I used to hear about it in New York. But there was nothing on the beach. And to me, I wanted to come back to the beach because the beach is the most prejudiced place in Dade County. You know what I'm saying? So to me, coming back on the beach and that's where all the black people wanted to go, right? Where they couldn't go before. So this is where they want to go to live. They want to go to Story. They want to be up in Prime. You know what I'm saying? And good, because Miles at Prime is a friend of mine, and Miles kind of shared the same path to an extent. You know, like because Jews wasn't allowed to live north of Fifth Street uh, from 1915 to 1949. The Jewish community just had to live Fifth all the way to Smith and Lewinsky. It was like a Jewish slum back then, but they work better together than we do as a community. And now Jews own Miami Beach. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so when I got back, I see that's happening, and that's hot as hell. Okay, but there was no real black representation. My man E-Class had just opened a Lickin' when I signed my lease, but there was no upscale representation. You know what I'm saying? And not saying that his thing is not a brilliant idea, because it is brilliant. Okay, but I know there's a lot of people in social levels. Certain people don't mix economically, by class, by how much they make. They don't mix together. And I wanted to do something where everyone inspired to come to that room, you know, which is Bar One Miami Beach. And I wanted to be on the water. It's the same landlord who owned the spot, same Jewish landlord who owned that spot. And he still have the sign in his garage from the door that I saw that says, "No Jews, no blacks, no dog." Scott Robbins, my landlord, this is the sixth time I'm doing business with him. He still have that sign in his garage. So when I said, "Scott, I want that waterfront property," he didn't look at me as a black man and say, "Nah." He said, "Peter, whatever you want." You know what I'm saying? As long as you could afford it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he gave me this opportunity, and I built out something beautiful for our people to come to. And I'm back.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is one for the culture. And if you all have not been able to make it over to Bar One, Miami Beach, you have to. You have to.
See, I gave you a fast track on my life in like 15 minutes.
You did. There's so many other layers under there, but I really want to talk about where you are now with Bar One. We're in a pandemic, but you're still open. You're doing the social distancing. Your staff is healthy. You are checking people when they're coming in. Tell us about all of the measures that you're taking.
All of that and so much more, because even this morning, I'm going to show you something. Even, you see this right here? See my phone? See my phone where it says COVID?
Yeah, COVID test result.
Yeah, they called me this morning.
Yeah.
Because it's my fourth time getting tested. And once again, I'm negative. Thank God. Perfect. You know what I'm saying? But of course, Florida is the hottest spot in the country right now. They said the state of Florida have more positive people in one day than most countries. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely have to pay attention and respect for this thing to curve if we want our life to be normal again. If they said walk around with the mask because that's what's going to help, then you should. If they said indoor dining is closed because people are paranoid of watching CNN loop 1,000 times that eating inside of a restaurant is the most dangerous thing you could do, okay? So people got paranoid over that, and there's no real data to support that, because they said you can't go into a restaurant, but you could go into Lowe's, you could go into Publix, you could go into Home Depot, you could go into Walmart, right. You know what I'm saying? You can go to all these places with thousands of people, but you can't go into a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? They're all indoors, so it makes no sense. And I don't think the people in power actually understand this whole thing. There's no real, they're making up the guidelines as they go along.
As they go along. Yeah, and you have waterfront dining, even if those are the stipulations that people are afraid of.
Well, I think my waterfront dining make people more comfortable because, you know, like first of all, they were saying not too long ago that the sun kills it. But I'm saying if the sun kills it, why are you closing the beach?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? With salt water, that makes no sense to me. But people feel a little bit safer outside than inside. They couldn't close And what they did on Ocean Drive was kind of clever too, because they know that all these restaurants over there survive off of the hotel, and the hotel survives off of the restaurant. So blocking the street from 5th to 15th and letting these restaurants take up the street for outdoor dining was brilliant. And that's only, Miami Beach is 99% hospitality. So it's either you own the business or you work for the business if you live over here. With them opening hotels and opening the beach after 4th of July, because they know there was going to be like a million of us black people over there, right. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to take that risk, but the numbers would be 10 times higher. They probably would have to shut the whole state down if they weren't proactive and shut it down for 4th of July weekend, which I agree that they should have, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but people are more comfortable coming to Bar One because Bar One is underwater. We have 7,000 square foot of patio space. We could social distance all day long with a 100-seat restaurant on my patio. And I allow no one inside, so we don't want to, we don't want to get in trouble. We got in trouble last 2 Sundays ago. Nene Leaks was here with 10 people, and she didn't want to leave. She was having a great time. Code enforcement came, and they saw like 30 people on my patio, and they said, you violated curfew, which is 10 o'clock. And we were confused. We thought it was from just 4th of July weekend. Because the Mayor of Miami Beach said before that you could open until 12:30. Right. So we thought right after the 4th of July and they got rid of all of us, now we could go back to being normal. And they came in here and said, you have all these white folks walk on the pathway out there by the water, and they're breaking the rules. The black people are breaking the rules. So they called code enforcement. Code enforcement came in there. They didn't give me a warning. They shut me down.
Well, before we have to wrap up because we're running out of time. But before we go, I want to touch on the fact that you are such a trailblazer. Yeah. You are not stopping with just a beautiful waterfront restaurant. Yeah. You're also in the works for shooting a pilot.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that before we?
The pilot is going to be building Bar One. You know what I'm saying? That's what the pilot is. The pilot is about me inspiring younger people in their 20s who came out, just graduated college or didn't go to college, and they want to work in the kitchen, but they didn't go to culinary school. So I want to give them an opportunity to get a job, to learn the culinary industry, the hospitality industry. People that want to be front of house managers. You know what I'm saying? I want to give my communities an opportunity to learn this industry. I want them to own restaurant on Miami Beach. I want 5 years from now, there's not 3 owners over here, but there's 50 owners over here. And I want to change the whole look of Miami Beach, because they over here partying off of our culture every day, taking our money every day, but we're not over here in a position of ownership. So, my show is going to be based on me taking 5 young people and showing them the works out to become Peter Thomas, how to become a king, how to become a queen, how to own your own business. You know what I'm saying? Give them a new lane, because I'm so proud. I'm so proud that I see Papa Key, DJ Khaled, you know what I'm saying? Big Lip Bandit, all of them cats are now restaurant owners. I'm so proud of that. And I have a feeling I have everything to do with that, because I showed them that it could be done from Savannah's days, from me being the only black owner over here in the nightclub industry for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? So I want to continue that legacy. I want to keep on doing that. I want to give back to my community. And I think the show is going to be hot, because I'm choosing 5 or 6 personalities that's off the chain, but I see them being kings and I see them being queens, and I know that they're going to be monsters. So I think it's something dope for us to watch and for us to inspire the next generation. So
well, touche. We welcome Peter Thomas back to Miami. We are so excited for him and all the wonderful things that he's doing. When you get a chance, make room and head over to Bar One Miami Beach and check out the great food. Might I add, Peter, wait, before we go, let's talk about really quick that bar service chef special, please.
Oh my, the bottle service chef special, I created that during COVID. When we keep on going to buy fresh fish every day, because that's what I do. I'm the one who actually go and pick out the fish. And every time I go, I see this huge snapper, like 15 pounds, 20-pound snapper. I said, you know what? Let me get that. You know what I'm saying? That's shock value. I've never seen a fish that big on any plate in any restaurant. So we went out and got these way oversized plate. Okay, and then I put it up on my Instagram and said, yo, we got a 20-pound snapper today. If you come over here with 5 of your friends, it could be yours. You know what I'm saying? And then we come up with the whole bottle service or the lights as they come out with shirt special. And I promise you, we're selling it like it's like fire right now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then I went out and got the 6-pound, 7-pound, our lobster with the claw look bigger than my hands. And, people are coming over here and they ordering that for themselves.
Man,
You know what I'm saying?
man.
You
Gotta check it out. I appreciate you, Peter, for coming. As always, everyone, thank you for watching another episode of The Culture. Be sure to follow Bar One Miami Beach on all social media platforms and follow The Culture on all social media platforms. We appreciate you tuning in, and we're gotta bring Peter back to finish this discussion. Thank you for joining us.
Because I talk a lot. I keep on going until I run out. But thank you for having me. I'm down with The Culture 1,000%.
Hey.
All right. Plug. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Culture is produced and owned by Hip Rock Star Media and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent by Jessica Garrett Modkins. All rights reserved 2020.